what's going on, guys? Alright, so basically, um, we're going to talk about scarcity and how it's very, very real. Um, I had to learn growing up because I grew up in scarcity. I grew up in fear of a lot of stuff. I grew up with the fact that it's okay to be poor, even though my parents were middle class, and I borrowed this from Ed Milet, where he said, I grew up in the middle. My parents were in broke, or no, I was going to say broke. My parents were in destitute, but my parents weren't rich either. So I think, like he said, and I agree, and I came up with this some time ago, that my parents didn't, while I was raised, I got a birthday present, I got a gift every summer, I got a gift every Christmas, and the illusion in that is that you don't have to get any better. And even though they talked above and beyond, it was never, when it was actually about to happen, the conflict came, the arousal of pain came, the real challenge of the ideology of if they really meant above and beyond. Especially my father, he would say, go above and beyond, but above and beyond means that you don't think like the average. And whenever I challenged the average idealism, it was never supported. So scarcity is really real because I learned that whenever I were to talk to somebody who made more income than my father per se, or I talked to somebody who was in a place of where I actually wanted to be, it was never really supported, or I was ostracized because I knew there was more to life than being poor. There was more to life than, let's say poor, meaning that's the extremism of it. Meaning if you don't have it, in my opinion, if you don't have it in abundance, you're poor. It's very, even though I'm learning that there's more to it than just that. It's not as black and white as I say it to be. But let's not live in illusion here. If you don't have it in abundance, you're poor. Period. No ifs, ands, buts, he, she's about it. Because when life hits you, there's no middle. You feel what I'm saying? There's no, oh, I kinda had it. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, you had it, or if life hits you, maybe you have had it just enough to make it. But that life fucking sucks. I ain't gonna hold you. So scarcity is really real because when it's time to level up, you think of, I can't do it, I don't want to do it, I'm not good enough to do it. And as I'm gonna go continue to exercise of Miss Lisa Nicole, like I'm really starting to realize at this point in my life, I really have to change more of my mindset than taking action, because like action is great. Don't get it twisted. Action is very important, but if you have the wrong mindset, it really don't mean shit. If you have the wrong thought process on why you're doing what you're doing, it really don't mean shit. To keep it 1,000 with you, it actually makes the process a lot difficult if you don't have certain mind shifts, etc., etc. So I'm realizing now, I gotta download, and I would say be very modest in my thinking. Understand I don't have all the information, especially the fact that our government hides about 30 years behind. We are 30 years behind the actual information of the government. So they know 30 years ahead of what today's information is. We're just not able to see it, because if we were able to see what the government's information actually is, our humankind would be actually more advanced. So it's also actually based on the mastery of human nature. If you feed them all at once, what the potential of the mind can actually do, they'll actually explode or implode, because most humans are trained to be full of shit, for lack of better words. If you give them all of the information, you have to train them and you have to raise them in a totally different way than what society is today. You have to train them to be abundant. You have to train them to not eat meat. You have to train them to do totally different than what they have today. And because scarcity is a common thing and it's really real, poverty is really real. And when I say poverty is real, I mean it's a reality for some. It's a reality for a good amount of us. Because that's real, I have to learn to drive myself a little bit higher. Because in some reality or the other, I learned through homelessness that shit is real. At any moment, you start to realize you had the wrong information. At any moment, you realize you didn't have it all. You didn't have the right thinking to go forward. And because my father trained me to have scarcity in my mind, where any opportunity that I did on my own, he didn't really train me to really rise to the occasion. He trained me to just be average. In the sense that when I say be average, meaning he taught me to be phenomenal at a job. Like he said, when I say that, meaning, yes, he tried to train me for life when he says show up every day and be on time, be before time, and all those cute lessons, and I do understand them from a he was trying to prepare me for life. But when it came to the shit that he was training me on a level that I didn't care about. And I guess he did make sense that he was training for the little things of what I had, like a job, but I didn't care to show up in my personal evolution. I didn't care to show up for somebody else's dream early. I just didn't care for it. And I'm realizing that about myself. I'm very binary. Like, I like what I like, and I stick to it. And sometimes that's a very scary road, because you have to suffer a lot more than other people. And because you're very binary, you're very about what you're about, you have to take action at a level that's obsessive, because, and I'm sitting with this information now as I walk on this Stairmaster, you have to, because you like what you like, and you're not willing to have it any other way, you have to be flexible, but also you have to be very obsessive in the manner of you're not willing to have it any other way. And because you're not willing to have it any other way, and because you're always putting your blinders on, there is no other way out. Because any other way out would prelude to the fact that you have to do something else. And that's not what you want to do. And I actually, as I walk on this Stairmaster, I have to accept that fate. That I have to become deeply obsessive, because I'm very, very binary. That if you're like anything like me, you're very binary. Where it's like, yo, this is what I want, and that's it. And you realize most people are full of shit. They take the staircase to get to the elevator, to get to the rope, to get to the mountain, to get to where they need to go, instead of going through the hell of going straight forward and I'm not saying that's the straight and narrow path, but um, there's a certain amount of hell. I'm learning this now that most people are not willing to sign up for. There's a certain amount of hell, and a lot of fire, a amount of beast, a amount of darkness that you have to be willing to go through to get to that level in your life. And if you take the route of somebody else's giving you the leverage, or you're on somebody else's platform to do whatever, instead of building your own, going through the hell of building your own, much like how Damon Dash says a lot about putting your own money up, putting your own time in. Obsession is the only route, because every other way, and you have to actually kind of drown out the fact that you'll never be famous like everybody else, that you have to focus on you're impacting as many lives as possible, and that's what you have to focus on every day. You're impacting a life, instead of like, you don't have the fame, I would say, of billions of people, because that's not what, you can't die. I mean, dying with fame means nothing in many regards, because that can change in a snap of a finger. Like, you're gone tomorrow, a year to 5 years from now, you're fucking forgotten. But you won't be forgotten to that one kid who changed his life, changed his generation. You have planted a seed that could never be forgotten. And I'm learning to focus more on that, and less on the fame, and less on what the world will give you, but really planting that seed in the mind of the person who is going through a situation, and they decided to take one more step. Because they heard my story, they decided to take one. Like, I was watching a couple videos last night on moving to Atlanta, and there were several stories of I went to Atlanta with $800 in my pocket, $1,200 in my pocket, less than $200 in my pocket. I left from where I'm at, put in a comfortable job, to move into somewhere with nothing, basically nothing. And to be honest with you, I might really take that route similarly, like leaving everything behind, leaving all comfort behind, and being like, fuck it, whatever goes, goes. And I made that decision last night that once I get it, I'm gonna make sure I have money for my at least my bus ticket, and whatever comes with it is whatever comes with it. I'm gonna go, and it can be very dangerous, because you have no fall on the back of time. I actually read what I was actually studying my palmistry last night, and it actually said be very careful of your impulsive nature to just leave, drop everything, and go. And because you have to ask yourself how many other people you affect, because you're willing to just drop everything at the drop of a dime and just go. You're willing to just drop the ball, and because you're willing to drop the ball, you really gotta consider more how much you impact. That makes sense to me, because at this point in my life, I don't give a fuck who I affect, unless it's positive. And I'm learning that if I consider too much about who I'm impacting, because of the understanding and the decision It's my life, and I need to make the best decisions for me and not for you, because you don't got to go to the casket with the decisions that's being made. I do, and that's why it's hard for me right now to start a family, to get a girlfriend, and all that. I got to consider people, and right now, I don't want to do that. I'm not sure if I really want to deeply consider somebody on that level of we're dating or we're this and we're that. I like right now just considering myself. And I'm at that point in my life where I just want to consider me. Unless we are really building something together. And if we are not really building something together, I have to sit with myself and I tell you guys that it's just bullshit. We're just holding on to emotional attachment. That we are not really building nothing together. And that's one of the greatest illusions of scarcity. That you're really building with something with somebody, and you're not. You're not really building nothing with them. You're just holding on to emotional attachment, and you're just really possessing them because you're possessing them because you're possessing them because you don't feel like you can go without them, and you grow an attachment like a parent to a child. And I realized just now I'm building nothing with nobody right now. And a lot of times I'm doing shit on my own. So there's no point in holding on to you and we not building nothing. And yeah, I just had a huge yawning just now. Anyway, yeah. So scarcity is real because it gives a lot of illusion. So last I said, I'm gonna leave with you guys. It leaves a lot of illusion, not fact. And I mean, when I say fact, I mean numbers, like statistics, like details. It's very, very, very arbitrary. It's very, very, very ambiguous. Scarcity is very ambiguous. It's very vague. Abundance is very, and I'm learning this for real. Abundance is very detail orientated because, wow, that's deep. It's not obsessively detail orientated where it takes no action, but it knows everything about you. And that's why because white supremacy rules black people, because black people are they're too vague when it comes to their enemy. White people know everything about us, but they don't know everything about us. And I heard this on a BET interview when he was talking about the elite and black people. They sit for hours watching our shows, watching what we like, watching what affects us, watching what we react to. And I just realized in myself before I came to the gym, I have that nature as well. So until you develop that nature of you're willing to sit for hours and hours and hours and watch and learn and read and study your enemy, your opponent, the person you got to take down, and when you get to that point where you got to take action to destroy them, you will forever live in scarcity because you're not willing to go in deep, dark depths. Meaning you know every motherfucking thing about this motherfucker. And until you do that, you will forever live in illusion. You will live in the vagancy, that's a word, of scarcity. It's hard to beat somebody who knows everything about you. Let me say that again, especially just because I'm very warlike. So, it's very hard to beat somebody who knows everything there is to know about you. Or they know more about you more than you know about yourself. It's very hard to beat somebody like that. It's very hard. Because You'll develop a need, like you need them more than you think, and you don't. That's why people hate change, because you're becoming outside of the details that they confine you on. Scarcity is real. Get to know it, or understand it. Not get to know it, but understand it.